Hello, everyone, and welcome to Terry and Al's Spirits Talking. Today, this video is on a question that one of the viewers, Susan Parker, happened to ask in the comments, and I've been trying to get to this for a little while, and she posed this question. And remember, folks, if you have a question about the paranormal, feel free to drop it in the comments underneath the videos, and I'll try to answer your question too. Okay, Susan asked, when you have the time, could you do a video about the differences between visions, premonition dreams, and prophetic dreams? Now, this was a good question because this was something not really given much thought to. So I started looking it up, and the more I looked up, the more I found. So the title of this video, I had to add a few subjects in there with it. The title is, today for this video, what is the difference between a dream, a vision, a spiritual trance, astral projection, premonition dreams, precognitive dreams, and prophetic dreams, and others? Alright, to start off this question, I felt like it deserved to go back to talking about dreams. And according to Webster's dictionary, dream. A dream is a series of thoughts, visions, or feelings that happen during sleep. Simple enough, makes sense. But I also find that Webster's doesn't dwell a lot in this paranormal region, and so oftentimes their questions are oversimplified, or their answers are oversimplified. Let me go into a little more detail on that. Dreams are a living mental image occurring during sleep. Functions of dreams vary per individual and purpose. Dreams are usually the simple expressions of thoughts, feelings, and awareness of the mind that are at play while the conscious mind is at rest. You can always identify a meaningless dream by its characteristics. Dreams have various sources. Dreams come from a man's heart when you think too much about something. When you wake up in the morning, or whenever it is you wake up, you don't even remember what you had a dream about until something or someone reminds you of it later, in the days or weeks to come. That dream is most likely to be a meaningless one. Dreams we see during sleep. It depends on our thoughts and our minds. Dreams are a manifestation of your subconscious. They occur during REM, rapid eye movement, part of sleep, and most of them are not remembered by the time you wake up. Some dreams are just a reflection of the events of the day, while others are more meaningful. If you have a recurring dream, or dreams that feel real, you might be experiencing premonition dreams. Now here's a list of the different types of dreams that we can have. Okay, first of all is the daydream. And Webster says, daydream. A pleasant visionary, usually wishful creation of the imagination. Studies show that we all have a tendency to daydream an average of 70 to 100 minutes a day. Daydreaming is classified as level of consciousness between sleep and wakefulness. It occurs during our waking hours when we let our imaginations carry us away. As our minds begin to wander and our level of awareness decreases, we lose ourselves in our imagined scenario and fantasy. Next we have lucid dreams. And from Webster's dictionary, lucid, very clear and easy to understand. Lucid dreams occur when you realize you are dreaming in the middle of your dream. Wait a second, this is only a dream. Most dreamers wake themselves up once they realize that they are only dreaming. Other dreamers have cultivated the skill to remain in the lucid state of dreaming. They become an active participant in their dream, making decisions in their dreams and influencing the dream's outcome without awakening. I've done that before. I've been in the middle of a dream, woke up, managed to go right back to sleep and get right back into that dream and then control it that way. And even though it was a nightmare, I was able to control it to take it away from that nightmarish situation. Now, speaking of nightmares, that's our next one up. According to Webster, nightmare is a frightening dream that usually awakens the sleepers. Simplified, but alright. Let's go with that. A nightmare is a disturbing dream that causes the dreamer to wake up feeling anxious and frightened. Nightmares may be a response to real-life trauma and situations. This type of nightmare falls into a special category called post-traumatic stress nightmare, or PSN. Nightmares may also occur because we have ignored or refused to accept a particular life situation. Research shows that most people who have regular nightmares have a family history of psychiatric problems, bad drug experiences, people who have contemplated suicide, and/or rocky relationships. Nightmares are an indication of a fear that needs to be acknowledged and confronted. It is a way for our subconscious to take up notice. Pay attention. The next one is recurring dreams. And I'd never even bothered looking this up with Webster because, recurring means happening more than once, happening over and over and over sometimes. Recurring dreams repeat themselves with little variation in the story or theme. These dreams may be positive, but most often they are nightmares. Dreams may recur because a conflict depicted in the dream usually remains unsolved and ignored. Once you have found a resolution to your problem, your recurring dream may cease. Next one on the list is healing dreams. Healing dreams serve as a message from the dreamer in regards to the health. Dreams of this nature may be telling the dreamer that he or she needs to go to the dentist or doctor. Our next dream, astral projection. Now, according to Webster's, astral projection is the ability of a person's spirit to travel to distant places. Okay, that's fair enough. Because actually the definition of it is the ability to leave your body and visit the astral plane. And unlike dreams, they are not vague and have a lot of detail. Our next one is premonitions. And in this case, Webster's says more than what I have for it. And I took the word premonition from Webster, and it means previous notice or warning, or a forewarning, or anticipation of an event without conscious reason, presentiment. And what I could find for a definition online, outside of Webster's, is the ability to know things in advance by sensing, seeing, or feeling it. Now the next one on the list is prophetic dreams, and I found a lot on this. Okay, I looked up prophetic because prophetic dreams isn't in Webster. And prophetic means, according to Webster, of, relating to, or characteristic of a prophecy or prophet, or the foretelling events, predictive. Prophetic dreams are dreams that seemingly foretell the future. One rational theory to explain this phenomena is that our dreaming mind is able to piece together bits of information and observation that we normally overlook or that we do not seriously consider. In other words, our unconscious minds know what is coming before we seriously piece together the same information. Now, prophetic dreams can be broken down into different types. It is completely possible for a prophetic dream to include two or more of these elements. This is where prophetic dreams interpretation comes into play. Okay, the first one is a dream of apparitions. And Webster calls an apparition an unusual or unexpected sight, phenomena, or a ghostly figure. This sort of dream is perhaps one of the most commonly ignored. When we have prophetic dreams, it's natural to wonder whether it was a simple dream or not. An apparition is the appearance of a deceased individual, usually the sole function of delivering an important message. Some people find these terrifying, especially if it is a close friend or family member. These apparitions mean you no harm and will vanish once the message has been received. Okay, the next type of prophetic dream you can have is clairaudient dreams. And it wasn't in Webster as clairaudient dreams, so I just looked up clairaudience. And that means the power or facility of hearing something not present to the ear, but regarded as having objective reality. That is to say, someone who possesses clairaudient ability can hear sounds from beyond the physical world. They can include hearing spirits or the presence of angels. This sort of dream focuses on the audible aspects of the dream, and as such, the dreamer will hear voices or sounds more clearly than they typically would while dreaming. The lack of a visual stimulus can create confusion and often causes the message to appear a little scrabbled, so it can take a few occurrences to really sink in. The next type of dream is clairvoyant dreams. And clairvoyant, in Webster's, means having clairvoyance, able to see beyond the range of ordinary perception. There is a common misconception that a clairvoyant dream involves dreaming of the future. In truth, these dreams usually focus entirely on the present. To give you an example, a clairvoyant dreamer may see an eruption of a volcano in their dream at the exact time that it's happening somewhere on the other side of the world. The next type of dream, empathetic dreams. And Webster, of course, didn't have that, but they did have empathetic, which means involving, characterized by, or based on empathy. Empathy is the ability to emotionally relate to the feelings of other beings. An empathetic dream will usually involve intense emotions and drastic changes in perception. They will often provide insight into the behavior of another person by allowing the dreamer to walk in their shoes. This can lead to potential glimpses of how this person may act in the future if their emotions or their situation continue to go unchecked. Our next dream is a shared dream. Now, according to Webster, shared means used, done, belonging to, or experienced by two or more individuals. Shared dreams are incredibly rare, but also pretty self-explanatory. During a shared dream, two or more people connect within that dream realm, which is a plane within the spiritual realm, and are able to interact as if they were together in one person. This sort of dreaming can happen from anywhere in the world. It is most commonly associated with the next dream type. And the next dream type is telepathic dreams. Webster's for telepathy. Communication from one mind to another by extrasensory means. While shared dreams involve a shared experience, telepathic dreams involve a more direct function. This dream type occurs when a message needs to be urgently delivered between one dreamer and another. The person sending the message can sometimes be completely unaware that they are appearing in another person's dream. Now, this is not to be confused with a warning dream. Now, warning I didn't even bother looking up in Webster, I'll be honest, because we all know what warning means. When you think of prophetic dreams, warning dreams are probably the first type that come to mind. These dreams are without a doubt the most difficult to interpret, and also carry the heaviest consequences for failing to do so. A warning dream does exactly what you would assume, warns of future events. The problem is that they can warn of negative events, but also positive things. For example, one decision may lead to a positive or negative outcome, but your warning dream shows the positive outcome to guide you toward that decision. Similarly, you may see the negative outcome and know to stay away from it. Now here's how to understand your dreams. Dreams are an expression of your subconsciousness and follow a very different set of rules. You may get a premonition dream where a spirit describes future events or sees the events in detail, but a lot of premonitions are hidden under a layer of symbolism. You need to learn to interpret your dreams if you think there is a meaning behind them. Some dreams' symbolism is very personal and will require you to learn to interpret these symbols yourself, while some symbols are shared by all. For instance, dreaming about a car crash often means there is a conflict in your life. The more you practice, the more you'll be able to understand what your dreams mean and how they relate to the future. Water is a sign that you'll feel overwhelmed, and dreaming about flying shows you are motivated. Practicing free association and free writing will help you get in touch with your subconscious and figure out what the elements from your dreams are associated with in your mind. Try going over your dream journal regularly so you can practice free association for the recurring elements in your dreams, or do some free writing exercises around these scenarios you often encounter in your dreams. You probably won't recognize your first premonition dream until the things you saw come true. If you are experiencing recurring dreams or dream about things that feel very real, you need to start a dream journal and might want to look into other methods to get in touch with your subconscious, such as meditation. Now, a trance is a state of semi-consciousness in which a person is not self-aware and is either altogether unresponsive to external stimuli, but nevertheless capable of pursuing and realizing any aim, or who is selectively responsive in following directions of the person, if any, who has induced the trance. Trance state may occur involuntarily and unbidden. A sleep-like state, as of deep hypnosis, usually characterized by partly suspended animation with diminished or absent sensory and motor activity. Trance state may also be accessed or induced by various modalities and may be a way of accessing the unconscious mind for the purpose of relaxation, healing, intuition, and inspiration. Trance also has a function in religion and mystical experience. It is the advanced stages of meditation. The meditator becomes fully soul-conscious and loses body consciousness. God pulls his intellect, and that person talks to God in the subtle regions. It is like a spiritual game. Next we have visions. A vision is something that you see or dream, especially as part of a religious or supernatural experience. The Greek word horama means to supernaturally gaze at an object externally or have an inspired appearance internally. Each vision usually has its own purpose, but one general purpose is that it inspires the beholder. Visions are similar to trance, but person gets visions automatically without any efforts. It might be an outcome of past karmas. Both trance and visions are like a TV. To have a vision means to see things that aren't there. I think the picture of the third eye to be the most accurate metaphoric depiction. You know it's not there most of the time, and you're still aware of your surroundings. The picture you see isn't in front of your eyes, but it feels like it's going straight into your soul, deeper consciousness, whatever you'd like to call it. Sometimes you forget that you're in the room. They can have prophetic or psychic significance, or they can have no significance at all. These visions are called hallucinations, delirium, trips, or daydreams. However, daydreams generally refer to intentional fantasizing. Most agnostics or atheists believe all visions are these kinds. On the other hand, some people believe that all visions are spiritually significant, even when induced by sleep deprivation, chemical imbalance, or drugs. Visions, on the other hand, are notoriously known to have a lifelike nature to them that often causes the dreamer to jolt awake in screams of terror and sweat. All visions have a tendency to be very vivid, meaning you're unlikely to quickly forget crucial parts of a vision, even if you tried. Now the differences between vision and dreams. The difference between a vision and a dream is that a dream happens while you are asleep, whereas a vision happens while you are awake. You see a dream when unconscious, while you see a vision when you are conscious. We could say that you see a vision while semi-unconscious in the sense that you are not your natural self. You have to enter some sort of trance. It's usually very brief. Premonitions. They're dreams that can provide a lot of information about your present state of mind, worries, and hopes for the future. But can they actually predict things that haven't happened yet? Precognitive dreams, in simple terms, are any dreams that give you information about the future you wouldn't otherwise have. Say you dream about your brother after not hearing from him for months. The next day he gives you a call. Or maybe you wake from a dream with some unpleasant emotions like terror or disappointment. This doesn't seem meaningful until something frightening or disappointing hits you shortly afterwards. You can't recall any specific dream details, but you have the exact same feelings. Having a precognitive experience may unsettle you even when you don't put much stock into fortune telling. Popular examples. While scientific research hasn't found evidence to support the idea of prophetic dreams, people do commonly report dreaming about events or circumstances that later happened. You might have heard of these famous examples, such as the Aberfan landslide, and this is a very tragic story. On October 21st, 1966, 28 adults and 116 children were killed when a landslide of coal tumbled down a mountainside in Aberfan, Wales, and buried a school. According to 3 surveys taken afterwards, up to 2 weeks before the disaster, about 200 people experienced both premonitions and precognitions. The premonitions included depression, a feeling that something bad was going to happen. Some people actually pinpointed the day. Sensations of choking and gasping for breath, uneasiness, and impressions of coal dust billowing black clouds, and children running and screaming. When psychiatrist John Barker visited the town and spoke to many of the residents, he realized many of them had experienced some sort of premonition about the disaster. Even some of the children who had died had mentioned dreams and premonitions of dying in the days before the landslide. Barker advertised in a London newspaper, asking anyone who had experienced a premonition before the landslide to send a written account. He received more than 60 replies, about half of which mentioned the dream of the disaster. Following the Aberfan disaster, a British Premonition Bureau was established in January 1967 to collect and screen early warnings in an effort to prevent disasters. A year later, the Central Premonition Bureau was established in New York for the same purpose. Both bureaus did not progress too far because of low budgets, poor public relations, and much inaccurate information. Okay, and then there's the following example. About 2 weeks before his assassination, President Abraham Lincoln described a recent dream to his wife and a few of his friends. He dreamed of walking through the White House until he came upon his own corpse, guarded and lying in state in the East Room, exactly where his casket rested after his death. A third example. Carl Jung, one of the key founders of modern psychotherapy, also reported several precognitive dreams and experiences. One of his dreams appeared to warn him of his mother's death. He also described a series of 3 dreams in early 1914 that involved a darkened Europe in the grips of a catastrophe. Many people later connected these dreams to the start of World War I. And my last example here is in 1948, the prominent Soviet psychic Wolf Messing traveled to Ashgabat to give some demonstrations of his abilities. Prior to his performances, as he traveled the streets of that city, he was seized with a terrible dread and an intense desire to leave as soon as possible. He canceled his performances, the only time he did so in his life, and left. 3 days later, a massive earthquake leveled Ashgabat, killing 50,000 people. Messing's premonition saved his life. However, he had no specific forewarning of the earthquake. Now, what is a premonition? A premonition is a vision, a gut feeling, or other experience that grants you knowledge of things that haven't happened yet. These experiences can be hard to recognize since you won't realize you've had one of these dreams or visions until the event actually happens. Premonition dreams are more common than you think. In fact, several individuals had dreams about the sinking of the Titanic before it happened. You have probably had a premonition dream yourself and experienced deja vu when you encountered the situation you saw in the dream, which is true. I've had some of those. I had one vision, a dream about falling down the basement steps at my old home. And a couple weeks later, I started to fall, and luckily, I guess thanks to the dream, I knew to reach out and grab hold of the railing, and I caught myself before I fell, too far down. So, yeah, that premonition can really help you. It can be a lifesaver. Do visions in your dream tend to come true? Premonitions can be a message from another plane of existence. A spirit, such as an angel, a guide, or a deceased loved one, could want to share an important message about future events with you, or you might simply have a gift for seeing the future events. How common are they? Some researchers suggest that up to a third of people report some type of precognitive experience, often in the form of a dream that seems to come true. According to Psychology Today, informal surveys put this figure much higher, suggesting about half of the population has had at least some sort of prophetic dream. Results of surveys can sometimes be skewed depending on who they involve. People with a stronger belief in psychic experiences, including precognitive dreaming, tend to have a higher likelihood of interpreting dreams as precognitive. People who don't believe in psychic experiences, on the other hand, won't likely even consider the possibility of their dreams predicting the future. Premonition is a type of prophecy consisting of an impressionable warning of future events. A phenomena is characterized by such sensations as anxiety, uneasiness, a vague feeling of disquiet suggesting impending disaster, to actual visual or auditorial hallucinations. Premonition is sometimes referred to as a gut-level feeling. The sensation tends to occur prior to disasters, accidents, deaths, and other traumatic and emotionally charged events. The sensation of premonition may be considered precognitive at times because there is no clear-cut lines between them. However, generally premonitions are sense-oriented, dominated by a syndrome of physical uneasiness, depression, or distress that what is without discernible source or reason. It is an unexplainable feeling that something's going to happen. Precognition, on the other hand, is more precise, involving visions or dreams of the event that is to occur in the future. For some investigators, premonitions can include actions of patients and individuals in magnetic and mediumistic trances who prophesy that their malady or some terrible event to them will occur within a certain period of time, and may subconsciously wish to fulfill that prophecy. It might be questioned whether the similar phenomena might occur in a veridical dream or hallucination. This is theorized on the conclusion that a post-hypnotic person generally weaves his action into the surrounding circumstances, even though the very moment of its performance may have been fixed months before. Therefore, this raises the possibility that fulfillment of dreams and hallucinations might be suggested through telepathy communication to a person from another agent, which may not be far-fetched or impossible. Another consideration is coincidence. The dream or hallucination of an event could possibly coincide with the incident. Also, it is possible that impressions, whether they remain vague, foreboding, or are embedded in dreams, must at times be subconscious inferences drawn from an actual, if obscured, perception of existing facts. Such premonitions are by no means to be disregarded. However, frequently premonitions, no matter how impressive, prove to be absolutely groundless, where a ghostly visitant issues the warning. Premonitions occurring in a waking state are more predominant than those that occur in dreams. because in the latter they are frequently disguised as symbols and tend to go unnoticed. However, when these symbols frequently reappear in dreams, the individual may learn to recognize distinguishing symbols or emotional tones. Premonitions can give early intuitive warnings that occur frequently but are far too subtle to register on the conscious mind. Some of these intuitive warnings apparently register on the subconscious and cause the person to unknowingly alter his plans, which some evidence indicates. In the 1960s, W.F. Cox examined passenger loads on trains involved in accidents between 1950 and 1955. By comparing the number of passengers on the train the day of the accident to the number of passengers on the same train on the preceding 7 days, the preceding 14 days, and the 28 days, he found that on some accident days, but not all, that there was a dramatic decrease in passengers. One example was the Chicago and East Illinois Georgian. It had just 9 passengers on the accident day of July 15, 1952, whereas 5 days before it carried a more typical 62 passengers. Cox concluded that many of those intended to travel the disaster-bound trains had unconsciously altered their plans or missed their trains by being late. The similar or same factor may relate to doomed ships. The Titanic carried only 58% of its passengers load on its disastrous maiden voyage when colliding with an iceberg on April of 1912. A group of 22 stokers were late, and the captain declared the ship would sail without them, a fact that may have saved their lives. The psychiatrist Ian Stevenson recorded that more than 19 incidents of premonitions and precognitions concerning the Titanic in England, America, Canada, and Brazil, which occurred within the 2 weeks prior to the ship's sailing date of April 10th. Some canceled their reservations after dreaming of the ship's doom. Others said it was bad luck to sail on the ship's maiden voyage. Some of the survivors said they felt uneasy but sailed anyway. The latter is questionable because some sensation might have been prompted by after-the-fact thought. The functioning of premonitions is not exactly known. That is, why some people possess them while others do not. One theory is that some people are more open or prone to psychic suggestion. A cause for the diminishing of this psychic ability in people is that a larger portion of the population has become less intuitive. With the advancement of the scientific age, people have begun to rely less on their sensations. It is just in recent years that science is investigating the importance of human intuition and sensation. Premonition dreams are more common than visions and other forms of premonitions, because this is where your subconscious can show you things. Premonitory dreams. Looked it up on Webster. Webster said, premonitory means giving warning. There might be a certain degree of symbolism in a precognitive dream, which may give rise to some doubts when interpreting it, but often the dream events will occur in real life almost unchanged. There are the main clues, but there are others as well. Our dreaming mind uses several tools to attempt drawing the attention of our waking minds to important information, especially one related to the future. It is like a movie director that uses everything that is in his or her hands to cause the maximum impact of the audience and to impart a clear and unforgettable message to them. How to recognize a premonition dream. If you have a recurring dream, or if there are some common elements in most of your dreams, your subconscious is definitely trying to tell you something. This could be a premonition or just a sign that there is something bothering you. Premonition dreams often feel very real and will show you specific places, people, and events. You might also have a dream where a spirit or a deceased loved one tells you about the future. What to do about these dreams? Sometimes images of the future may appear as flashes or fragments in your dreams. Vivid dreams about catastrophic events can be very troubling. If you think you are having premonition dreams, you need to start keeping a dream journal. Keep your journal on your nightstand and write down what you remember when you wake up. I've done that before. I'd keep paper. Back when I remembered my dreams, I don't remember my dreams anymore, but back when I did, I'd keep a pen and paper right there on my bedside. And if a nightmare or something woke me up, in the middle of my sleep, I'd write it right down then and there while it was still fresh in my mind. You might only remember a few things at first, but your brain will make a conscious effort to pay attention to details and to remember things when you dream once you get used to recording everything in your journal. Keeping a dream journal will make your dreams clearer, and it'll be easier to remember the messages and visions you see in your dreams. You will also be able to go back and read past entries and figure out which dreams turned out to be visions of the future. Recapitulating, while we may have premonitory dreams indistinguishable from normal ones, certain dream features can be interpreted as unambiguous signs of forewarnings, including some of the movie director's tools that others and I have noticed. The main signs of a premonitory dream can be resumed as really odd events and or characters, crystal clear and impressive imagery, an intense sense such as fear, horror, sadness, surprise, etc., stunning inflection points, a clear message or moral. Now, prophetic dreams. A prophetic dream is a dream that depicts facets of future events that are coming your way. A prophetic dream is sometimes referred to as a relevant or a vision. One major characteristic often associated with this type of dream is its vividness and distinct details. These kind of dreams have a way of being able to stay in memory for longer periods of time than the ordinary dream. You may be wondering if there's two differences between prophecy dreams and visions. The only real difference between the two is that the dream takes place while you're asleep, while the vision takes place mainly while you're awake. Prophecies are communications brought from the realm of the divine to the humans to warn of events of the future that are yet to come. They are warnings sent from God through a prophet to select individual or people. When you think of prophecies, think of the role served by your local weather channel. The meteorologist receives his information from analyzed computer data and then reports it to the public. Now, thinking about prophecies, the role of the Superman is taken on by the prophet. The role of the analyzed computer data is taken on by the Spirit of God. The public that the news is reported to is represented by you. Prophecies about the future, whether good or bad, can be sent to an individual in three ways. 1. Directly through dreams. 2. By a prophet. Or 3. Both. In the Bible, God says, "When there is a prophet among you, I, the Lord, reveal myself to them in visions. I speak to them in dreams." This, of course, implies that visions and prophecy dreams are the work of God. Perhaps the most famous example of a vision would be Ezekiel, who saw the wrath of God, or the Pharaoh who dreamt of the approaching 7-year famine. Now that we have a basic understanding of what prophetic dreams are, we can explore some of the different types in a little more detail. Feeling a prophetic dream. How can you tell when your dream is a prophetic or is it just a simple dream? Sadly, there is no simple answer to this question, as dreams can be experienced differently by each person. One person can even experience different types of dream from one night to the next. One could be immersive and emotional, but the next night it could be detached and purely visual. You can try to feel for certain clues for whether a dream is prophetic. If you wake up one morning and feel that there is something different about last night's dream, then consider why that might be. Do you feel like you've just woken up, or do you feel like you have just returned from a journey? If it is the latter, then this could be one indication that you are not experiencing prophetic dream interpretation. Prophetic dreams aren't always straightforward or easy to understand. It's possible that a single message may spread itself out over several dreams, which makes understanding a prophetic dream's meaning all the more challenging. The best approach to interpreting any dream is to make as many notes as possible. Draw any symbols you see, write down any words, describe events in as much detail as possible, and repeat this until you see a pattern. Also callers. Look for callers. Write down callers that you see, because sometimes callers can play a part in that too. Patience is key, so don't become frustrated if the message isn't immediately clear. It's possible that you haven't received the entire message yet. The possibility of your nightmare or dream being prophetic can often be ascertained by answering the following questions. How well do you remember the details of it? Were they vivid? How often do you think about the dream's content before you dreamed it? Is the central plot of the dream related in one way to another of something you recently saw on television? Has it been a worry of yours any time in the past couple days prior to the dream? If so, the viability of the dream being prophetic is disqualified. Do you think the dream could be related to something you recently experienced, one way or the other, through conversations, movies, physical, verbal altercations, etc.? If so, this dream most likely isn't prophetic. Was the dream the cause of your waking up? If a dream is so vivid that it caused you to jolt awake with fear, and you haven't been able to tie the dream down to anything you saw or thought of within the last few days or weeks, then you have good reason to be very worried. Now the final one, and we're coming down the home stretch here. The final one is astral projection. Reality is created through projection, consciousness, into the physical. In astral projection, the conscious mind leaves the physical body and moves into the astral body for the experience. In astral projection, you remain attached to your physical body by a silver umbilical type cord. Some people are able to see their cord when they astral project. As with the all out-of-body experiences, it is important to feel totally relaxed, have comfortable fitting clothes, and if possible, be in a reclined position. Sometimes it can get cold when you travel out of your physical body, so make sure you have a blanket or suitable warm coverings to keep on hand to keep the body temperature right. When you astral project, you are constantly aware of things you encounter whilst out of your physical body. For some, astral projection comes naturally, whereas for others they are afraid to remove their consciousness from the physical body and will never learn to astral project. Astral projection, or astral travel, is an out-of-body experience achieved either when awake or via lucid dreaming or deep meditation. People who say they experience astral projection often say that their spirit or astral body has left their physical body and moves into another dimension known as the spirit world or astral plane. The concept of astral projection has been around in practice for thousands of years, dating back to ancient China. whilst in more recent years it has gained popularity through the resurgence of the New Age movement, although it is very interesting to see that more and more this movement is becoming, for many, part of their everyday life and less new. Psychics often say that the subconscious or dreaming mind contains the spirit or astral body, resulting in falling dreams or waking up with a falling sensation or sudden jerk. Most dreams are not remembered by the conscious mind, making the experience of astral projection a subject of subjectivity. Believers in astral projection point out that most ghost settings are often defined as the ghost as a lucid or transparent apparition walking the earth. It is unclear whether every physical object has an astral counterpart, or if a spirit literally uses incarnation into a physical body, and this is what results in astral projections, or if the phenomena is something entirely different. Astral projection also touches on life itself and what happens after physical death. So there you have it. That's the differences between all of those. I hope they made sense. Some of them are very slightly different, with not much difference at all. Some of them are very different. There's some, like precognitive dreams and premonition dreams, which are pretty much identical, and some people will often lump them together, and then some people say there's a slight difference and they shouldn't be categorized together. So sometimes, it's a very tough call as to which is which. But if you follow what I have just said, then maybe you might be able to figure out which case yours may be. All right, and I hope that answered your question, Susan. Class is over. Dismissed.